want to take this podcast to talk about some of the teams that we're probably not going to talk much about during the regular season. Teams that are kind of flying under the radar. And I want to start with Sacramento only because they made some news this week when they signed Russell Westbrook to a one-year deal. This was widely expected that the Kings would find a way to bring Westbrook in. What I was initially told was they were talking about bringing him in if they could do a trade for Jonathan Kuminga, because if they traded Kuminga, they probably would have traded Malik Monk, which would have opened up a guard spot back there. That deal never came to fruition, but they signed Westbrook anyway, adding him to that mix of teams. So, like, putting aside the Westbrook signing, and that's fine, whatever. I think Russ deserves to still be in the league. Yeah. To me, Sacramento is the most irrelevant team in the NBA. they just are. They're not the worst team in the NBA, but they're the most irrelevant. Like, are they better than Utah? Yeah, but Utah to me is more interesting because they've got Ace Bailey, some young guys. I want to see how they come together as a team. Portland, same thing. I mean, I think Young Hansen alone makes them more relevant than Sacramento. Even teams like Washington with the young guys they have there, I think they're more relevant. This is a team that of the kind of would-be contenders that are trying to win something, they have the lowest ceiling of any of these teams in the league. And look, I always said that the team that signed Russell Westbrook this season was going to be a team that was just like, screw it, we got nothing else to lose, let's sign the guy. And lo and behold, there's Sacramento, which has a team of like guys you kind of like, but nobody that you love. They've got, Keegan Murray, who's a good young player, but not a great one. Domantas Sabonis, who's an all-star, but probably not one that you can build a championship team around. I just thought this signing of Westbrook was kind of perfect for Sacramento, which is a team that is on that hamster wheel going absolutely nowhere fast. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I thought Russ was a great low risk bet. I mean, it won't put the team into an instant contender, but it breaks off with the glaring weaknesses. I know a lot of people aren't high on Russ, but last year he still averaged 13 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds, and he played pretty well with Jokic. And you see how Sacramento tries to use Domantas in a similar form as Jokic. I think when it comes down to tenacity and experience, it matters. But, Sacramento keeps trying to recycle the same mid. I live in Chicago, and we were kind of struggling with the DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine duo, and it ended up moving on and taking them and bringing that show out there. You know what I'm saying? So I just think Sacramento's just trying to stay afloat. Their last real high moment, Steph Curry ruined it a couple years ago in Game 7, and I think they're trying to hold on to all that momentum.
Yeah, I just don't know what the direction of the team is, other than, like, let's try not to piss our fans off too much. I mean, 2 years ago, they looked like a rising team, 50-plus wins, the whole Light the Beam stuff.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a good
Sabonis
time.
And Fox. It was fun out in Sacramento. You played there. They've got great fans in Sacramento. Yeah. When they're competitive, it's fun to be around that team. But, like, all the moves they've made, and look, the Fox deal was kind of forced on them. They didn't, continue to build on the success from a couple of years ago. And Fox said, look, I'm not signing a contract extension, so they really had no choice. But, like, what they got for Fox, like, putting LaVine and DeRozan back together didn't make a lot of sense. You bring in Dennis Schroeder, who's been on like half the teams in the league at this point. Sabonis, again, puts up monster numbers, but doesn't do enough defensively to make you believe he's a starting center on a team that can do more than make the playoffs. I know, like, teams like Utah, teams like Washington, teams like Portland, you can disagree with the roster construction. You can disagree with the guys they have, but they have a direction, right? Like, they have a plan for what they're going to do. I don't know what Sacramento's plan is other than just try to compete for a 500 record, get into the play-in mix, and live to fight another day.
Yeah, that's what I think so too. I feel like they've been such behind like the 8 ball when it comes down to it. Like, they've tried to clean things up and they just made it 10 times worse. And right now, when it's coming down to trying to keep the fan base engaged, like you said, they're going to try to make it to the playing game and then just try to win the media narrative and say, hey, we're trying again. We're trying again. We're trying again. So I I won't be watching too many Sacramento Kings games this year, and and I'll see them to play, and that's when we'll pay attention to them again because I don't think they know what they're really doing over there. I think they kind of got backed into their corner when they built so much into De'Aaron Fox, and you see today they just gave Keegan Murray 150 million, and it's like I love Keegan Murray to death, but you know what I'm saying? It's just when it rains, it pours. They just need to stop.
Yeah, that's a team that needs to be dismantled. I think there's probably still a market for Zach LaVine. There's a market for DeMar DeRozan. These are bucket getters that on the right team can make a difference. But, on this team, it makes no sense. Just an incredibly low ceiling. I think that if they keep this team together, it's going to be bad. It's going to be a bad, disappointing season.
And when you talk about a market, like the narrative, it's like there's always a market for DeMar DeRozan. It's always a market for Zach LaVine. And sometimes it hasn't happened yet. And when it's coming down to it, it's like, is there a market for Zach LaVine or DeMar DeRozan to come off the bench or to try to load up a contender? And their contracts aren't going to say so. And you're going to be stuck into a brand of basketball that the league has grown past. They don't really shoot many threes. They fired the coach. They have 2 mid-range players. They got their main ball handler, Samantas. Shout out to Dennis Schroeder. He was one of the best guards in the world this summer, but, sometimes the season he doesn't really find his way either. You're going to have to eventually rely so heavy on a 17 or 18-year vet to be the mental force or like the locker room identity. And he just got into the locker room. He just signed the other day.
Yeah. I guess the argument for keeping LaVine and DeRozan is that you can get some financial flexibility. I mean, LaVine, he's got a player option next year. I mean, I guess he picks it up. $48 million. Nobody's giving him that in the offseason. DeMar DeRozan's got a non-guaranteed his last year, so I guess you can get off that deal. And DeRozan only making $24 million. In today's NBA, that's a tradable salary. These are the guys... These are the guys they got to move off of. Malik Monk, $18 million per year. Is there a market out there for him? I mean, they got to get draft capital. They got to get younger. They got to get young pieces that actually get you excited. Because right now, I think Keegan Murray's a good fourth option on a good team. I think he can shoot it, obviously. But beyond that, I don't like what they're doing.